Yer. Yo, yer. What is that? Is that a Saturday stream? What is happening? What? He's not even supposed to be here. What up, chat? Happy Saturday. March 7th, 2020. Decided that this is a short slate. I need to do some research anyway. Might as well freestyle some thoughts out loud. Had some time. And a couple of you guys actually DM'd me and tweeted at me and was like, hey, you gonna stream today? And I was like, well, I'm pretty sure I said no, but I did it anyway. So shout out to you guys for wanting some Saturday content. Shout out to the YouTube chat. What up, Stu? Andre Manigo, Mike Lowry. What up, Mike? Josh Jennings, Stu, Big League Stu, straight tripping. What up, dude? Chris Craig Gunn in the house. Yes, sir. Hey, last night, how crazy was that? The cheapest guy on the slate was the highest scoring guy on the slate. A rare night where the chalk value came through. Aaron Baines hit 10x in the first quarter. Huge play. He was 80% all right. So whatever. If you're on the wrong side of that one, choo-choo, man, you got ran over. Luckily, I was on the right side of that. I just could not get away from putting at least 30 minutes on his projection in a top 4 matchup. We just had to go with it. And it worked out. I didn't have as much Baines on FanDuel, which, disappointing because he still crushed it for FanDuel. He crushed it for everything. My man made 9 3-pointers. It was absolutely going Steph Curry mode on Whiteside. 16 boards, 2 blocks, huge play, massive play. I don't think we've ever seen a better value, ever, right? Even when guys drop 100, they're 10K or whatever. 3K 70 bomb. I correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've ever seen somebody outperform their salary like that. So huge play, Aaron Baines. If you played contrarian last night and faded Baines, man, maybe it didn't go too well for you. He was massive ownership. Another big game from Kristaps Porzingis, man. He's on some type of tear right now. And this blocks and stocks, man. He's getting some defense. Just 29 minutes to drop 60 plus. LeBron James versus Giannis Antetokounmpo. That was a fun game to watch. LeBron got you that 60. That's what you need, right? Karis LeVert. Talked about Karis LeVert and sustaining that 30% usage rate. And I thought that was a great spot to stay on him. He was one of my highest owned players. Luckily, that panned out. His coach got fired this morning, right? Karis LeVert, Coach Kenny Atkinson, the Nets coach, got fired. There's a lot of speculation as to why. Well, I don't want to say fired. I think they worded it as mutually parted ways. But come on, buddy. Definitely seemed like something slick going on there, Whiteside, Giannis. The rest of the top 20, top 10 wasn't really that surprising. John Collins, if you played John Collins, he made you sweat. John Collins was one of my tier 1 plays yesterday. And at halftime, I thought they got me, man. It looked like a blowout. It looked like Collins was done for. He was getting in foul trouble. I think he had 3 fouls in the first half. And I was like, all right, well, I lost out on that one. But he actually came back in a lopsided game, and the game ended up not getting lopsided. 6-point finish. So Collins got there. Any other surprises last night? I had Aaron Gordon. I guess Gordon, he tried to salvage 38 fantasy points. Really not going to cut the mustard at 8.6, but it could have been way worse with a 15-10 double-double. He was another guy I had a nice chunk of. But I think Aaron Gordon was basically the only guy that let me down in terms of what my actual expectations and my actual range of outcomes were for that person. Obviously, Jeff Teague being a lackluster play, we always expect that from Jeff Teague. It's always a range of outcome. And then Miles Turner. Miles Turner got me to 30. I kind of ended up getting really hyped to play Miles Turner after Warren and Oladipo and Malcolm Brogdon. Not Oladipo. Warren and Brogdon and I think that was it, right? Were ruled out. I had to run a usage check, and Miles Turner was like a 1.4 or something like that fantasy point per minute. Took 12 shot attempts. Had 4 blocks. So, I mean, he was a fine play. But if you, on FanDuel, I had a nice chunk of Miles Turner. If that was just a couple $100 cheaper Aaron Baines, it was just a better play. So Turner over Baines would have never worked out ever yesterday. But for the most part, I had fun yesterday. I think yesterday was a good slate for me. Hopefully you guys did well. I don't really think we were too off base on much on the live stream yesterday. So hopefully we can keep the momentum going. And hopefully you guys did well. I saw some screenshots in the Discord. Hey, yesterday was supposed to be the last day of this March Madness thing. But because I'm doing a stream right now, and I usually don't, I go ahead and extend it a day. So if you guys want to hang out with the crew for a discounted rate, we're going to keep the March Madness discount good through lock today. So the normal $30 week pass is down to $25. The normal $55 2-week pass is $45, and the normal $100 month pass is down to $75. So an extra day of discount on that. And what that'll do is that'll get you immediate access to the 24/7 RunDFS.com Discord. These cats are out here. I believe I've been seeing guys in voice chat all day. Yep, they're down here. I think they're talking. They're researching MMA. When I say researching MMA, these guys are watching film, writing notes, sharing their notes. Like they're an awesome crew. Playing baseball this morning. I see them talking League of Legends. Smeezy with the NASCAR content. So it's not just me spearheading basketball and football and baseball, but there's a good community there. So if you guys put in some work on some other sports, man, I'm sure they would welcome you with open arms. And then, of course, you unlock access to the RunDFS.com VIP spreadsheets, including my projections and some really aesthetically simple and aesthetically pleasing data for you guys to read and use day to day, including the index portal, which you can just kind of see matchups. We'll be using this throughout the whole stream. DVP tabs, I usually narrow it down to the teams on today's slate. Then, of course, my value and projection tab. I have projections for DraftKings, FanDuel, Yahoo, and SuperDraft. So if you guys look to explore a little bit, you guys can play around different sites, different rake levels, different entry levels, and different skill levels. And we'll have some fun, man. How we doing, chat? How you guys doing? What up, Zay Charles in the Twitch? Yo, what up, Twitch? Shout out to Twitch. Giffo, missing XFL for this? Oh, no. Yeah, XFL's still a thing. I think now that we have stats, I might even be able to develop an XFL spreadsheet, but it still seems like it's going to be more random. I feel like I've been loosely following week to week, and it just seems like we've seen so many like different quarterbacks and like, I don't know, running back is a crapshoot. So it's probably still hard to quantify and project week to week, but I actually have data now to maybe formulate a spreadsheet to maybe help some of the Discord grinders do a little bit more work. What site are you on right now? Off the highest scoring players and stuff. That's the DK Live desktop version. So the address to that site, and that's a good. If you guys have the DK Live app, that's an app. It's a companion app, I guess, to your DraftKings app. I'll put the link in chat. It's live.draftkings.com, and they usually cover NBA, football, and baseball. I don't think they do anything else. But those are the main ones that I care about, and it's a pretty cool site to have open. I wish FanDuel kind of has something like it, but it's not really like a standalone website. Stu says Atkinson will get a new job fast. I think Atkinson's a fine coach. I hate when people look at win-loss records for coaches and judging their success. I think win-loss records need to be contextual with the talent that they have or had not had. Like last year's Nets team, right? Like who was on it, and they were scrapping for a playoff spot. Using guys like Spencer Dinwiddie, injured and restricted Karis LeVert, building guys like Jared Allen. Last year they didn't have DeAndre Jordan or Kyrie Irving, and KD on the sideline. But I don't want to speculate and start rumors, but I've seen a lot of people link that to like Kyrie Irving being disgruntled. But even then, if that's the case, Kyrie's out for the year. So what? Like, why are you pulling the plug on Atkinson when the Eastern Conference wide open? Like the Nets can still easily walk into the playoffs with a losing record in the Eastern Conference. So I don't know. That's a weird situation. I think Atkinson's a good coach. I'd be really intrigued to see what he could do with an actual team. I've seen some rumors linking him to like the Hawks, but I definitely think there's a lot of teams out there that could be interested in the services of Kenny Atkinson, and we start fantasy booking, landing spots for him all across the league. Always been a weird like minute rotation guy. Like last year, he had like a whole. I think last year, I don't even know last year if he had a guy to average 30 minutes a game, maybe like D-Russ or something. But I don't know. I always thought he did. I always thought he overperformed with what he had. What are you gonna do? Streamlabs, okay. BB, oh man, looks nice and crisp. Yeah, that live page, yeah, it's pretty good. What up, 3BS 2K3, 371 last night, missed 100K by 25 points. No, oh, that's the worst. That's when you start going like, oh man, what could I have done? That one change or that 2v2. But it'd be like that. So, anyway, we're gonna talk about today's slate. Pretty simple 5-game slate. A bunch of teams that you don't like for one to have in your lineup, right? A bunch of no-name teams. We got this Pistons team that is just like a who's who of who's that. We got the Golden State Warriors, night 2 of a back-to-back. Is it night? No, it's not night 2 of a back-to-back. I'm dumb. But we got the Golden State Warriors without Steph Curry, without Draymond Green, and it's just like, wow, who are we playing here? Like, what are these names? So we'll just have to do a little bit of research here. The Warriors are just a 3.5-point dog to the Philadelphia 76ers, who are also playing a really stripped skeletons crew. So I think we're going to see a bunch of weird names up top tonight. The Hawks on night 2 of back-to-back. We'll see if Trae Young suits up. The Cleveland Cavaliers have been limping along. Last couple games, they've been down like a Darius Garland. We know Kevin Porter's going to be down. And we'll see if Andre Drummond plays. So lots of weird stuff to go out there and try to predict. And unlike yesterday's slate, there's not a whole lot of super fast-paced spots. So I think the temperature of the slate will be a little bit different. And at first glance, there wasn't an obscene value play, right? Yesterday, my projection sheet actually had Baines at like 10x conservative projection. Only guys I got up there now is like Glenn Robb, like nothing crazy, right? So it'd be fun to chop it up and see what we can pull away with this one. What up, Cashline? What up, Fultz? Anyway, was so on him, bro. If I just stacked the Magic last night, like I told myself, so the Magic stack was fine. I think, like I said, Aaron Gordon, you could have done without Aaron Gordon. Vooch was fine. Fultz was great. Terrence Ross was fine. I had a lot of Terrence Ross. But who was, in terms of like a team stack, I think you could say the Suns, right? Devin Booker got to 50. Aaron Baines obviously was a must-have. You really couldn't have finished top 5% in a tournament without Aaron Baines. Let me pull up the Suns here, the full team. And they blew out the... Devin Booker got 50, Sarge got 42. Yeah, look at this Suns fantasy production here. Baines 70, Booker 50, Sarge 42, Ricky Rubio 38. They could do without that, and McCall Bridges 33. So if you had some 3-4-man Sun stacks, man, you probably would have been all right. Love stacking. Stacking reminds me a lot of baseball. Let's jump into today's slate. Utah Jazz at the Detroit Pistons. Going to be our first game on the docket. Project starting 5 for the Utah Jazz. Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell, Royce O'Neal, Bojan Bogdanovic, Rudy Gobert taking on Brandon Knight, Svi Mykhailiuk, Tony Snell, Christian Wood, John Henson, Jordan McRae, new addition to the team. He was a walk-on in the last game. I think he only got... 10, 15 minutes, something like that. Maybe they build off of that. He got 26 minutes. Oh, I'm big wrong on that. Who am I thinking of? He got 26 minutes in his debut. So we'll see if they, a practice under his belt pushes McRae to like a 30-minute guy. They will be, again, without Derrick Rose, Luke Kennard. Brandon Knight has a Q tag on him. Let me pull up my injury report on the Pistons, see what we might guess is going on with Brandon Knight. Brandon Knight is listed as probable with a left knee soreness, so he's going to be good to go. Bruce Brown has been removed from the injury report, and that's a big one. That's a 30-minute guy. He might actually start tonight as well. So this becomes a what the heck do we do? They have a whole bunch of guards now, all right? Mykhailiuk, Brandon Knight, Bruce Brown, Jordan McRae, Langston Galloway. Even guys like Kyrie Thomas in the mix might steal some of those guard minutes. So it just becomes a really awkward team to project it. And I don't know that other than Bruce Brown, I would be confident with putting 30 minutes on any of those guards. And at these prices, it makes me a little bit non-excited to roster any of them. Against the Utah Jazz, they're on the road. medium low pace. The defense is fine. The Pistons' offensive efficiency is not something I'm running to or from. I might still have some interest in like Christian Wood. We know he has 40, 50 point potential, but it's really hard to get out of bed and get excited for this Pistons team. If we look at the last 5 games of teams against this Pistons team, just kind of see what positions have been thriving to maybe attack some of these Utah Jazz players. Just looks like point guard has been pretty successful. Chris Paul, 33 fantasy points on DraftKings, 35 minutes. De'Aaron Fox, 38 and 33. Ricky Rubio almost got 50 and 33 minutes. Jamal Murray, 38 and 34 minutes. And CJ McCollum with 76. So Mike Conley at just about 5K on both sides. Can we get 30 plus out of that? That's possible. Donovan Mitchell, I would want maybe 45 on a normal tournament day to pay off this price tag. Yesterday he got 21. Boston, tougher matchup. Can he bounce back? Sure. Not a lot of warm and fuzzies in here all the way around. Maybe Rudy Gobert can, have a 15 to 20 rebound game and maybe double-digit points, a couple blocks here. But no one here is just like screaming that I have to play them. Bojan Bogdanovic is at least curious. Like at under 6K, can I get to 30, 35 as a stocking stuffer? I think it's potentially possible. His wide range of outcomes are exhibited in his last 3 games, 12, 33, 48, right? We want 2 or 3 of those, but that one would burn us. But obviously Boston much better defensively than the Detroit Pistons. Centers have done just fine against the Pistons as well last 5 games, and shooting guards are hit and miss. So I don't think that the Pistons are a team I'm running to avoid, but I never often run to play the Jazz. If you thought this game maybe got a little bit lopsided, right? If you give them a little bit more credit, even though it's a back-to-back, it is this Piston teams. Maybe you look at a guy like Jordan Clarkson off the bench. I got him down for a conservative 23 minutes. He's just 4K on DK, 4,300 FanDuel. Could this be one of those games where, it's a night 2 of a back-to-back, Conley gets a little less minutes or even gets rested later? Got 27 minutes last night. Would I take 27 minutes of Jordan Clarkson here? A little bit cheaper, right? 27 could be about what Mike Conley plays. So maybe Jordan Clarkson makes my back pocket as a potential value play, and I can get that 25-30 out of him to be a pretty fine tournament play. But no one's floating to the forefront as a potential Tier 1 or Tier 2. I think anything from this game, for me at least, is going to be started off as a Tier 3 exposure. Curious to see what you guys got on this one. Josh says, is Raj joining us? Nah, but in Raj's defense, I probably decided to do this stream 20 minutes ago, so he had no way of knowing. McRae and Bruce Brown, any correlation, or can they both get there? So we don't have a sample size at all. The one game McRae played, I believe Bruce Brown was out. What we do know about Bruce Brown is when he has played all year, no matter who's in, whether it be Derrick Rose or Reggie Jackson, Bruce Brown's always been a guy that contends for 30 minutes. So if I follow that trend, I got to stay consistent and project him to be at least the team leader in minutes played. But that doesn't necessarily make me want to play him, because you see his results are hit and miss as well. So McRae was a walk. Was McRae a 10-day, or is he a full-on contract? I think they claimed him off waivers, so I guess it has to be a contract, right? It's a guessing game. I think if you're experimenting and exploring with Pistons guards there, it's probably just for 100K to first tournament shots, right? The creature says Detroit is basically a G League team at this rate. Yeah, it's not pretty, man. Thomas Kane says, I'm feeling under the weather. Sorry I'm late. Pray for me. Hey, man. Hope you get better. I don't feel under the weather, but I've definitely had some sniffly, some sneezing, and some itchy throat. So I'm hoping it's just like allergies or whatever. But it's flu season. It's going around. But hope you get better, bro. Conley's going to sit on back-to-back since he played last night. I think that's a reasonable back of your head thought. And even furthermore, it's the Detroit Pistons. So if that were the case, would Donovan Mitchell start at point guard to become a little bit more lucrative? Would Joe Ingles slide back into the starting lineup, or would they get a little I don't know, a little freaky, a little crazy, and do something with Jordan Clarkson? I do think I'm gonna land on Jordan Clarkson as a favorable tournament punt on both sides. Just all things considered. But if Mike Conley were to miss, then I could even expand his minutes to push him to maybe to 30. By the way, I forgot to check on the Fantasy Labs 3 p.m. tweet. They usually tweet news to watch. So Trae Young, Q, Drummond, Tristan Thompson questionable. Mike Conley to be determined. That goes with what we were just saying. Rashawn Holmes questionable. Brandon Knight probable. Cam Reddish probable. So the biggest one there is going to be Trae Young, right? So hopefully we get that news pretty soon. Quarantine and chill coronavirus. Man, I hope not. But I do know that like right now they're cutting grass out there. The clocks go forward tonight, right, guys? So we're gonna start getting that extra hour of sunlight, and I can be outside a little bit more after Slate lock. So just gonna have to build up an immunity to coronavirus and allergies, right? Let's move on to the next game. Denver Nuggets at the Cleveland Cavaliers. Project starting 5 for the Nuggets. Jamal Murray, Gary Harris, Will Barton, Paul Millsap, and Nikola Jokic taking on Colin Sexton, Matthew Dellavedova, Jetty Osman, Kevin Love, Tristan Thompson, maybe. And then off the bench, got names like Andre Drummond, Larry Nance. And that's it. The Cavs have been really, really short-handed, especially in the guard position, missing guys like Darius Garland, who was about a 32-minute guy, Dante Exum, Kevin Porter Jr., who had been a big benefactor of one or the other being out. And what we've seen in the interim during their absence is Colin Sexton plays a lot of minutes. He has played 45, and that was regulation, by the way, 45, 39, 37 minutes in his last 4 games. Each of those minute counts is nuts, and his price has really just gone up $300 since the last game. Now, this matchup, not great, but 40 minutes and 30 shot attempts is hard to turn away from for 7K or less from just about anyone. So I definitely don't go out of my way to pick on the Denver Nuggets. So I do think there's some credence and some validity and questioning whether or not we're going to play Colin Sexton. I saw Zay Charles say, do we fade Sexton? I don't think that there's a world where I full fade Sexton. Just because minutes equal money equal opportunity, and he might play the whole game. I don't think there's a way I miss out on that, right? And with Dellavedova 3,100, he's pretty cheap for a value play. Kevin Love becomes intriguing based on the activeness, we'll say, the status of TT and Drummond. If TT and Drummond miss, we've seen Larry Nance and Kevin Love also get really, really deep minute counts. RJ Drummond is listed as questionable with a left calf. He did go through practice on Friday, so he could make it back against Nikola Jokic. The Cavs do have a Saturday and Sunday back-to-back, so JB Bickerstaff may use Drummond and Tristan Thompson for 1 game each. So sounds like that's a reasonable range of outcome. Tristan Thompson, left knee contusion, also questionable. He also practiced Friday. So if you're reading between the lines there, it sounds like there's a chance one of those guys could play today, take off tomorrow, and vice versa. But that's purely speculation via an NBA.com beat writer report. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that at least one of those guys are in. Nonetheless, Kevin Love, I don't think is out of the question, but he is priced up in response to his last couple of games without those guys. High minutes, high fantasy point production. I mean, he was just 6,700 3 games ago. So do we expect nearly 40 minutes out of Kevin Love if one of those guys are in? Maybe not. You can still splice a little bit with Larry Nance. But I think we'd have to really get that information. If Tristan Thompson was out and Andre Drummond was in, do we put Drummond at like 30, 32 minutes? And do we play him at 8K on FanDuel, 8,400 on DraftKings? I'm a little bit curious with that. How has he done against Nikola Jokic? Andre Drummond DKP by game log versus Nikola Jokic's last 10 games. And then on top of that, when he has played with the Cavs, what has been his usage rates? He only has a couple games, so Let's pull up Cleveland. All right, so he has a really solid, at least last 4 games against the Nikola Jokic. And then if I look at his games played this season for the Cavs, his last game was against Indiana. He had a 36%, he had 36 minutes that game. Let me look at his usage rate that game. He had a 29% usage rate against the Pacers on the 29th of February. And then he played the 24th against Miami, had a 28% usage rate that game. Only had a 12% usage rate on the 24th against Miami. And then on the 21st, 36%. The 12th, 29%, 33%. So in all but one game, he's flirting with a 30% usage rate. If TT was out and Drummond was in at 8K, I don't think there's a way I don't have any of that. So I'll probably take some stabs on it. Hope for the best. If they're both in, I'm confused, right? And then I start wondering if there's a range of outcome that we really want one of 4 potential big men from the Cavs today. Who are they competing with? J-Val against Atlanta. I feel like I'm going to want that. I'm probably going to want a little shot of John Collins. Marquise Chris becomes interesting with all the ins and outs for the Golden State Warriors. So I think it just becomes an ultimate crapshoot if all those guys are in. But like I said, the way that report was worded, it definitely sounds like potentially one or the other play today. Hopefully they would release that information. Hopefully it's not one of those, this guy's starting and they never tell us that the other guy is going to be like a DNP. Larry Nance would be off the table for me if at least one of those guys were there. He's priced up 61 and DraftKings 7K. Still think there's a chance 30 minutes come his way as a backup 4 and 5. But he's really been paying off like in 37, 38 minutes. So really awkward situation here to project for this front court for the Cavs. Hopefully they drop that intel. Denver Nuggets side, they're all in play, man. This Cavs defense is not great, especially guards against the Cavaliers. Point guards against the Cavs is the second best matchup on the slate. Shooting guards is a top 3 matchup, and small forward is a top 2 matchup. So if you wanted to spin the wheel on any of them, Jamal Murray, Gary Harris, Will Barton, definitely wouldn't point and laugh at you. I think Will Barton at 5K, if I put him at 30 minutes, I can get a pretty decent return on investment and a good ceiling risk reward. I do think we've seen Barton, be kind of fluctuant in his results. 28, 25, 18, 29. Right, 25 is not sexy, but we know that in him is the ability to go 35, 40 fantasy points. In one game against the Cavs, he dropped 39, but he played 38 minutes. I'd probably keep him around the 34 mark here if we keep this game neutral. Remember, the Denver Nuggets play a little bit different on the road. And then Nikola Jokic, 9,700 on FanDuel, 94 on DraftKings. That game against Charlotte was not a blowout. And he got just 42 fantasy points. But he only got 30 minutes as well. And you might expect, the Hornets are a little bit smaller, right? So if the Cavs do have at least one big man, you could make the case that they're going to have a need to play big against them. So like Jokic, Millsap, Jeremy Grant, Mason Plumlee, guys like that. But I still think 30 minutes of Jokic on a 5-game slate with, I guess, position scarcity being a thing here, depending on the Cavs situation. I still think I would have some Jokic here. I probably don't tier 1 him, but I do think it's a good spot, maybe even a triple-double spot. Just 43.5 fantasy points against Cleveland last time. And he's kind of put to rest his home road splits, too. On the road this season, he's averaging just 3 less. So 9,400, I don't know if there's a ton of meat on the bone. Remember, the Cavs are also going to be a pretty slow in-pace team. If we go to that pace chart, the Cavs have Cleveland, a bottom 10 pace, it looks like, and the Denver Nuggets are also bottom 2 pace. So it's not like we're going to get extra possessions to really thrive and make up for some missed opportunity. But triple-double potential is there. So give me some Barton, give me some Jamal Murray as well. 6'5", 6'7" on both sides. Point guards against the Cavs has just been money all year long. Can I be a point per minute? Can I settle for 35 fantasy points? I'd be fine with that. Do start to worry about if this game gets a little lopsided, but I don't think Denver has a lot of road blowouts under their belt. Look at these minutes for Murray, 35, 38, 37. You're going to get 35-plus minutes in a top 2 matchup in the league, not just on the slate, in the league. I got to have shares of that, so I can see a lot of Nuggets making the player pool. Chat, what are you guys doing with this one before we move on to the next one. Crazy says, I like Barton again. Good DVP spot, cheap on FanDuel. Yeah, definitely a good stocking stuffer, right? If I play Will Barton tonight, I don't feel like he's going to let me down enough that he disqualifies me from cash. It could always just be a 25, 30 fantasy point play, and then you're not too excited. But definitely feels like the floor is high enough, and the floor to ceiling ratio based on price is something that I'm willing to accept and play a liberal amount of. If Drummond's playing 30 minutes, I'm playing him. Yeah, I'm with that, Zay. AK a little bit cheaper. Zay says, seen a tweet saying Hawks only scoring 90-something points per game in 8 games without trade. That's not amazing. It's not. I'll stat muse that again later today, but that was something I put in chat yesterday and recommended betting the under on the game total and the team total. Their offensive efficiency takes a nosedive without Trae Young, and I don't think that surprises anyone, right? Any Dellavedova. So at that price, I think a lot of projection systems are going to project well, right? It doesn't take much to project for a 6 to 9x return at 3K, but 6 to 9x is still just 18, 22, and that usually is not going to go a long way in tournaments. Is there a range of outcomes with Delly get you 25 to 30? Maybe, but it's not something that I probably get ecstatic with. So maybe if I'm playing 20 lineups or 50 lineups, I might throw them in the pool as a stocking stuff or value play, but I'm going to have a really tight cap on them. Like, I couldn't see myself allowing more than 10% at Delly, just because. I will say that I think we had a couple of big turnover games for the Nuggets lately. Was it OG Anunoby? Did he have 7 steals against the Nuggets? I feel like he did. So maybe Delly's been known as a scrapper. Maybe falls into a couple steals for FanDuel or something like that. Although his defensive stats haven't been anything crazy this year. But he does just a little bit of everything except scoring. 0 for 8, by the way, against Boston. If he gets 35 minutes, though, it's willing to make a stab on that. Nuggets defense has been bad lately. Yeah, definitely on the road. Not something that I'm running away from. And the spread is still single digit. I think the story of this game is just the status of the bigs for Cleveland. That'll shape my real interest in or off of a lot of these guys. Apparently to Malone, that's why Michael Porter Jr. gets no tick and Craig plays over him anyway. Yeah, I don't want to mess with him. Jeremy Grant, 4,400 on both sites. 25 minutes maybe coming his way. Maybe he's a point per minute. Maybe he pushes 30, kind of like a Jordan Clarkson type play. That is a range of outcome for him. So I don't mind a couple shares of him. You see, a 30-point outcome as a reasonable range of outcome, rather. But it would just be like a punt in the dark value shot there. Let's move on to the next game. Atlanta Hawks at the Memphis Grizzlies. So I think this very game was something that we all salivated for last week, right? And it just turned into trash. Project starting 5 for the Hawks: Trae Young, Kevin Huerter, DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, Dwayne Dedmon, taking on John Morant, Anthony Melton, Dylan Brooks, Kyle. The Andersons got tickets to the game. How'd they get tickets? Jonas Valanciunas, 233 is our total. 6.5 point spread in favor of the home team, Memphis Grizzlies. Atlanta Hawks, night 2 of a back-to-back last night. Trae Young did not play. He's officially questionable for this game. Does he suit up? He's dealing with an illness. We'll see if last night's rest was precautionary, but definitely a team that lives and die by the activeness of Trae Young. If Trae Young does not play for the second night in a row, we've seen Kevin Huerter step up as a very high-minute guy, high shot volume guy. Last night he was a fine play. And then I also liked Cam Reddish quite a bit yesterday, and he got there for me with relative ease. He also has a Q tag on him today, or at least I had a Q tag on him this morning. Let me see if that is still a thing. Cam Reddish is listed as probable with lower back pain. All right, cool. He also had Cam Reddish had a career high yesterday. DeAndre Bembry was doubtful yesterday, did not play, and he's questionable today with abdominal pain. It looks like he's inching closer to a return after a 2-month absence. However, he'll be limited once he does come back. And Dwayne Dedmon played yesterday. He went through practice, so he should be good to go. So I guess the story here is just Trae Young. If Trae Young is out, projection systems are going to love Jeff Teague. Maybe a little shot on Brandon Goodwin. Jeff Teague just never excites me. And I shared this with the Discord yesterday. If you look at his last 5 games without Trae Young, there's really not a lot of tournament winning upside here. He's scored 20, 18, 18 in 3 games without Trae Young for the Atlanta Hawks. And I guess the first 2 games, the Clippers and the Celtics, you can make a case, not good matchups. The Wizards, 28 minutes against the Wizards, he's just not a guy that excites me. Would I still have a share or two based on his price and potential minute opportunity in a pace-up game against the Grizzlies? Yeah, but man, if we start seeing his ownership projections spike up, if Trae Young got rolled out, I just wouldn't be there. Let's go look at the popcorn machine for this game. Like I said, this game just happened a week ago, and it had like a 240-plus total, and it just fell flat. It was not pretty. Memphis at Atlanta. So popcorn machine for that game. Memphis was a similar situation today that they were that game. They didn't have Jaren Jackson Jr., Brandon Clark, guys like that. So I think minute rotation we can keep kind of similar, except the fourth quarter. Obviously, the game was a blowout. So I think it really comes down to your game script. Do you have this game staying close or blowing out again? And then at the same token, let me go pull up the DK Live from that game. What was the date? March 2nd? All right, we'll pull up March 2nd. Another feature on that DK Live page, for those of you that just found out about DK Live, you can actually go through the calendar and go back to specific dates of games, and then you get a full research of how players did. So that game, no one from the Hawks did anything, including Trae Young. Kevin Huerter was fine. And then on the Grizzlies, the whole team got there, and Tyus Jones played 19 minutes and almost doubled with a plus 36 net rating. That's insane. Was that all in the fourth quarter, Tyus Jones? Nah, he actually had some decent run in the first half, so maybe he's somebody you put in your back pocket as a sneaky play. How's he done the last couple games past Atlanta? 26, 35, 37? What? Tyus Jones? 20-minute punt in the dark at 4,200? Man, look at his shot. What is he doing? Who is this guy, bro? Man, Tyus Jones, I always had him as a defensive specialist for the Grizzlies, for the Timberwolves. 3 steals, 4 steals. That's wild. Steals will come against the Atlanta Hawks. Hawks lead the league in turnover per play percentage. So that might be a really, really fun tournament play. It could blow up in their face, but I guess it makes sense, right? DeAnthony Melton on a starting unit. He's about the only backup guard there, so interesting. J-Val, 7,100, 7,300. Got to go back to the well on him. Without Brandon Clark, without Jaren Jackson Jr., in games that we might project to be neutral, and there hasn't been a lot of them lately. Dallas was the wrong side of a blowout. Brooklyn and Atlanta, the right side of a blowout. But if a game stays within 10, you can see 30-plus minutes for J-Val. He's extremely efficient with his minutes played. 7,300. I need the north side of 40 fantasy points, so I'll take it. He got 38 and a quarter against Atlanta in just 25 minutes. Can I get a couple more minutes? Can we get a Grizzlies game to stay close just once? And if it does, we might get another big game out of J-Val. And if it did or did not, you might even still take a shot or two on Gorgie Zhang in a top matchup. DVP chart is going to tell us that Atlanta Hawks are the number 1 matchup on the slate for opposing centers. Their center rotation has been a little bit different. They just got Dwayne Dedmon back. Maybe Dedmon is not as soft as some of the other guys that they've tried to hold down that position, but nothing I'm running to or away from. And then John Collins, man, he made you sweat last night. If he got there for you and you feel like you don't want to relive that at 8,800, I wouldn't talk you off of it. But if this game lives up to the hype, remember, a week ago, Vegas thought this game was fast and sloppy enough that both teams could combine for 240. So maybe we get our week late game that we all super stacked last week. 31 minutes against Memphis last week, 19 fantasy points. That's a big yikes. Has that been a recent trend? Because without Jaren Jackson Jr. fouling every 2 minutes, I wonder. So I'm going to pull up the last 5 power forwards against the Memphis Grizzlies. Porzingis dropped 62. Tarin Prince dropped 21 and 25. John Collins 19 and 32. Anthony Davis 36 and 25. Blowout. Nemanja Bjelica 33 and 34. So mixed results there. I would have some Collins, but he wouldn't be a tier 1 for me like he was yesterday. And I would actually be... I'd consider going tier 3 on him. Some exposure, but not much. And then I'll go back to the well on Cam Reddish. I think I'm willing to play Reddish with and without Trae Young. But without Trae Young, I'm that much higher. And then Kevin Huerter, same song and dance. I got to expect high minutes from him as well. So Trae Young, the big news here. If Trae Young plays, obviously we want some exposure to it. Makeup game from last week. Worried about the illness, so I'd probably just stick to the 20% rule, right? See what you guys got in the live chat. Darius McCray, being from Atlanta, that last game was disappointing. Man, DFS Twitter was definitely not having fun with that one. That game looked like it was going to be a super fun DFS game, the full stack, 240-plus total, but it just came out flat, and the Atlanta Hawks are just, they're so hit and miss, right? With those flu-like symptoms, Trae needs to stay home. I've been using Jones. Yeah, Tyus Jones looking like it could be super fun for tournaments. Ja Morant, Jones, J-Val stack. I've not been using Ja Morant much. And usually when he drops those big games, I miss out. Like that 59 against the Lakers. And sometimes it feels like Ja Morant's big games are against like big named opponents. Like Portland or Dame or CJ, and then the Lakers. Like, it feels like these mediocre games against mediocre teams, he just gets mediocre results. And I know that's all like narrative, and you can't really quantify that, but he just doesn't excite me. 7K, am I gonna miss out on a 50 bomb here? It's very possible, but I'll still just take shares of like Dylan Brooks and Anthony Melton. I'll be very underweight on Ja Morant. I probably would at least have a shot or two on Ja Morant, but for a couple $100 cheaper, I feel like I'm getting the same floor-ish from a guy like Jamal Murray. So I'm probably the low man on Ja Morant here. Yeah, what else we got? If Dylan Brooks can get 30 here. Yeah, Dylan Brooks can get 30. He's always scoring dependent, so tier 3 is probably where I start him. Likely needs 20 to 25 real points to get you there in tournaments. Boogeyman says, is Trae out tonight? I don't know that yet, but him being out last night, back-to-back on the road, there's I would say at least above 50% chance that he could be out again tonight, right? I like Brooks. Yeah, I don't mind Brooks. Brooks is still going to offer a lot of shot volume and potential. It's just like he has to score a lot of real points to be relevant for tournaments. So it's not a bad thing. Like scoring dependent players are not disqualified from my player pool. Heck, I was all over some Terrence Ross last night. But for me, like I said, the fact that he needs the mid-20 real point to like 24 or 32 real points to get you to 30-plus is why I wouldn't like have him as a core player or anything like that. Matter of fact, I think me and Raj had this debate the other day against the Hawks, actually. Raj was like, oh, this is a core play. I was like, man, I can't core scoring dependent players. I just can't. It's too much variance, man. You're relying solely on their shots. It's those guys that are heavy on peripherals. Those are the guys I like to foundation with, right? Ja or Sexton? I probably go Sexton right now, just because Sexton seems locked in for nearly 40 minutes. It's an exponentially worse matchup, but the usage, the shot attempts, they should all be there for Sexton. So. That's just me. Like, if you guys are thinking, like, the process is telling you 30 minutes of Ja Morant and a 230-plus total against the Atlanta freaking Hawks, like, if that's putting you on Morant, man, don't go with me, man. I'm just a little different. I don't have a decent success of slate-breaking games from Ja Morant. Colin Castle says, Delly or Glenn Robinson punt? Probably Glenn Robinson. When's the last time Dellavedova scored 30 fantasy points? It's probably been a while. At least Glenn has done that a couple times. Do they give Josh Jackson minutes early? So in the last game, Josh Jackson had 5 minutes in the first quarter. 5 minutes he had a 10-minute stretch in the first half, and then even closed out. Probably somebody got in foul trouble. So yeah. I guess you could say Josh Jackson gets early minutes. So let's move on to the next game. Golden State Warriors hosting the Philadelphia 76ers. Project starting 5 for the Sixers. Shake Milton, Alec Burks, Tobias Harris, Mike Scott to Al Horford. Taking on Damian Lee. What is this team? Michael Mulder, Juan Toscano Anderson, Andrew Wiggins, Marquise Chris. 222 is our total. 3.5 point spread in favor of the 76ers. I know the Sixers are without Ben Simmons, without Joel Embiid, and Josh Richardson. But man, is that really a team that's only a 3.5 point favorite against Damian Lee, Michael Mulder, Juan Toscano? What is this, bro? Holy cow. Philadelphia 76ers got to be your cash game stack. I've been riding, Shake Milton, Tobias Harris. I don't see myself getting away from those two. Those will probably be my two highest owned players tonight. Mike Scott looks like a good value play. Al Horford, fine, sure. We'll take some stabs at that. Could we four-man stack the Sixers in cash? I don't think that's crazy considering the slate and considering how we have so many moving variables on teams like the Pistons and the Cavaliers. So as it stands now, if you had 3 or 4 Pistons or 76ers in your single entry or cash game lineup against a lackluster defense like the Golden State Warriors, I don't think that's crazy. I think we can throw a blanket over a lot of heavy minute guys, a lot of usage, and Tobias and Shake Milton just seem like hard to miss spots. And then, I don't mind stabs at Alec Burks, Mike Scott. Seems pretty simple, right? The Sixers probably should be one of the more high-owned stacks tonight and some of the highest-owned players. Tobias Harris has to be the highest-owned player in the slate, right? Does anyone here not think Tobias Harris is right now the best play, points per dollar, with the opportunity before him? I couldn't argue against it. Last 2 games before the Sacramento game, the Lakers and Clippers, 2 tougher defenses, but 20-plus shot attempts. Gotta imagine his usage rate's through the roof. We'll go ahead and put an actual number on that using the RotoWire on-off court tool, and we'll take off all the big boys for the 76ers. Let's take off Embiid. Let's take off Ben Simmons. Man, I'm hungry. Don't order me a za. Ben Simmons, Josh Richardson. It's probably a game stack too, right? Their defense takes a massive hit without those 3. Those are big hitters. Jay Rich, Ben Simmons, and Embiid on D. Right? Actually, let me put Harris on before we run that. Toby. Antoine Murphy. What up, dude? Harris is just an obvious play. Yeah, I agree, man. I don't think I'm gonna reinvent the wheel in Tobias Harris, man. I think we just gotta play it. Tobias Harris, 27% usage rate, 1.2 fantasy point per minute. Easily should put him at 35 plus minutes. Alec Burks, a 27% usage rate. He's always been a point per minute guy. Only 65 minutes sample size of that, but there's not really a sample size on no Embiid, no Jay Rich, and Simmons yet as well. Shake Milton, point per minute. So if I made 20 lines tonight, heck, if I made 50 lines tonight, I might just lock button Tobias Harris and Shake Milton. I really just don't see how those two aren't my highest owned players, and I really don't know that I'm even just going to have lineups without them. I guess that would be contingent on what ownership projections say prior to lock, but that just seems like the 2 plays I'm not going to live without tonight. And then Alec Burks. We all like Alec Burks' point per minute. It's just a matter of minutes. Does Brett Brown give him a run? And that's been hit or miss as well. Last game, 19 minutes, 22, 25, 18. So he's very efficient in the minutes that he does get. It's just a matter, does he get those minutes? It's a fine matchup. But the inconsistent minutes is the issue, right? Furkan Korkmaz, I got him at 27 minutes. He could go off here, hit some threes. That's probably the only bench guy I'm going to flirt with. Maybe Glenn Robinson. I play some Glenn Robinson, 37, 39. Somebody asked me Glenn Robinson or Matthew Dellavedova. I think for me it's easily Glenn Robinson. At least we've seen 30-point potential. I just don't know that Delly has that in him. But it's not somebody that I'm coring as a value play either, right? On the Warriors side, very short rotation here. So we can start playing guys simply for minutes, and the 76ers, like I said, defensively are not going to be what any of the stats will say, right? Their points per game, their defensive efficiency on the season, all that's out the window with 3 starters that are defensive juggernauts out. The Kings drop 108, Lakers drop 120, Clippers drop 136. in their last 3 games. The Knicks 106, and then the Cavs 108. And I think those are all games that were missing most of these parts. Am I saying a G League Warriors team is going to come out here and hang 110 on the 76ers? No, but I'm not like running from any of these spots individually. So if I wanted to attack some of these high minute guys that we know are gonna be there, we know Damian Lee is gonna get 30 plus minutes with a high level of confidence behind that statement. 36, 33, 34, 37 minutes. We just start attacking guys that are going to play minutes. Michael Mulder and Juan Toscano Anderson, it's hard to put your hat on guys that we really just don't know who they are or have a sample size on performance-wise. But we've seen ability to, put mid-20s. So I'm willing to play guys like Damian Lee. We know that he has NBA experience. We've seen him drop 50-plus fantasy points on Christmas Day against James Harden. So we know he can score. Andrew Wiggins is hit or miss at 7'8", 7'7". I'll never play him over. Why is he more expensive than Tobias Harris on FanDuel? What the heck? Why is that a thing? That's never be a thing in today. That's crazy. That's stupid. But if you want to play some Wiggins here, he's going to play deep minutes, probably lead the team. And a lot of peripherals, a lot of shot attempts, 20 shot attempts against Toronto, 40-plus fantasy points in 4 straight games. Sure, you fire him back at Tobias Harris, get a little game stack going. Marquise Chris, if he can stay out of foul trouble, definitely a guy that can be a 30-plus fantasy point guy. Eric Pascal, Jordan Poole, both guys easily in a player pool. This entire Warriors team is, outside of Wiggins, it's under 6K. So I don't believe Wiggins is going to be the only good fantasy play here today. So I definitely could see some 3v3 stacks from Warriors and Sixers. And I would probably put like a Lee, Wiggins, maybe a Poole or a Pascal. Obviously, I think Pascal is going to be pretty high owned. He usually is when Draymond's out versus guys like Milton, Tobias, Horford, and Scott. Like, it's ugly, but I mean, that's just going to be this slate. You got to play the cards that you're dealt with, right? Let's see what you guys got in live chat. Let's see what you guys got. Crazy says this is gonna be one of those slates on FanDuel where you might have to feel all right leaving 800 on lineups. Yeah, don't disagree with that. Pascal's hit 6x or better 5 games straight. That's a great stat there, Tyler. Harris is an obvious play. Yup. Dragon Bender could be a dart throw. Don't mind that. Is the slate too small to fade Harris? Tobias Harris? Yeah. For me, yes. But if this is an 8-game slate, I probably have Tobias Harris as in tier 1, and it's not even a question, right? What was Al Horford's usage here? Al Horford has an 18% usage rate in 155 minutes without those guys, but he's averaging over a point per minute. So even Al Horford is going to be in my pool here, right? Ownership projection on Tobias. I don't know what it is, but I can't see him being under 50%. I can't see him being under 60%, really. Partly because Wiggins gets the same in his higher raw usage rate. Yo, what up, Craig Bennett? Love Josh Jackson and Zhang for blowout purposes. Yeah, I mean, if you're buying a blowout, I don't hate it. I'd say that the Hawks are so unpredictable, right? Like, they could pop off and make this a game. Trae Young could play and break the slate. But yeah, Josh Jackson. I don't think you need a blowout for Josh Jackson. Josh Jackson, that we just had those minutes up, right? Josh Jackson had a 10-minute run in the first and second quarter, right? So I don't think you need a blowout for Josh Jackson. It sure would help. And the same with Gorgie Zhang. Like, I think those guys are going to get in the rotation regardless, right? Oh, it's Keg. What up, Keg? Yo, shout out to Keg. All right, let's move on to the next game. Portland Trail Blazers hosting the Sacramento Kings. Project starting 5 for the Kings. De'Aaron Fox, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Harrison Barnes, Nemanja Bjelica, Harry Giles. Taking on Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, Trevor Ariza, Carmelo Anthony, Hassan Whiteside. Kings run one of the slowest paces in basketball, but we still get a meaty total here, 230.5. So what do we attack? So I think we keep an eye on Whiteside, 8,900 on DraftKings. I'm looking for 45, 50 fantasy points on this slate. And while we might start tinkering with the thought of Drummond or Jokic with that Cavs news still to be determined, Whiteside's been Whiteside, man. Last night he was a great play. I mean, he was shadowed by Aaron Baines going off on him. But he did just fine. 58 fantasy points, 55 in the 2 games since Damian Lillard's been back. Now, those paces are going to be higher than what we have tonight, but I don't think it's something I'm running from. He's averaging 42 fantasy points in 26 minutes per game in 3 outings against Sacramento. So I'm willing to go back to the Whiteside. Well, I would maybe have some back-to-back worry in the back of my head, but I don't mind him at all. CJ McCollum popped off last night. I think the McCollum-Lillard sweepstakes, that's always going to be a spin the wheel, make a deal type of situation. And then the Blazers are still a team I love to target. Nemanja Bjelica, I got him for 27 conservative minutes. If we look at the DVP chart here, you'll see that the Portland Trailblazers has just been an elite matchup. Number 1 matchup on this slate for power forwards and a top 2 matchup for centers. So you can make a case for the center situation with Alex Len, who has a history with Whiteside, but Bjelica, man, he might pop off for one of those 30 bomb games. The last couple games for him, 17, 24, 20. If you scroll a little deeper, you'll see some 30-point games in the game log. He's averaging 34 fantasy points per game and 30 minutes per game. So I like Bjelica as a late-night hammer stocking stuffer back pocket play. You could always talk me in some shares of Fox, Bogdan, Buddy Hield, but no warm and fuzzies on any of those. I like Fox in more pace-up spots. I don't hate him here. I got him right at 40 fantasy points, right? So, has he played these games? 1 game, he dropped 43. I'd take 43. Nothing that I'm excited about, but I'll take it. And then Dame versus McCollum. I think I'll have equal exposure to both. Well, I'll have probably more exposure to Dame than McCollum, but I like Dame. Dame's averaging 50 against the Kings. I don't mind. I don't mind going after that Dame game before it gets here, right? No, it hasn't really popped off since he's been back in the lineup. But the minutes have been there. 37, 38 minutes, 38 minutes yesterday, not 37. If he's going to get those type of minutes in a neutral game, and right now this game's projected as a 3-point spread, I'm willing to play him with ease. 16 shot attempts last night. Could be a 20-plus shot attempt. So give me that Dame game before everyone else has it, right? And that's it, man. That's your 5 games. So a little bit ugly. Did any news come out while we were freestyling here? Kings are too inconsistent. Yeah, man. Luke Walton's a little dirtbag, right? Nothing here for this slate, right? This is all... Yeah, nothing came out on this slate. So, man. So if I'm running back a core here, I think it's easily Sixers. Tobias, Milton. And I probably... I want to say, man, the minutes on Sexton are just too deep. Just too deep. What? I know it's more of just a minute thing than anything else. But I am curious. Actually, you know what? I'll just look at the last 3 games. I don't need to take everyone off the court. Cleveland. So the last 3 games for Colin Sexton, he's had a 35% usage rate against Boston, 25% against Utah, 24% against Indy. I don't know. I think I'm not going to core Sexton, but my exposure will be liberal if we get these centers out. But I think at least one of these centers are playing. All right, chat. What do you guys got? Buddy in the doghouse hasn't got more than 25 minutes lately. Yeah. Probably just going to stack Philly and Sacramento, Portland with some Denver and Clarkson. I like that. Gun. What up, Miss J? Glad you back doing DFS. Quite refreshing. Hey, I haven't gone anywhere. I've been doing DFS all year, but I'm glad you're back, Miss J. Anton Murphy says Gary Trent value on a back-to-back. You like that? I mean, you guys are throwing some unique names for value tonight. I hate small slates with no obvious value. 21-28. I don't know, man. With Lillard back in the mix, I'm probably not getting to Trent unless somebody was out. Phil Horford is being overlooked. I agree with that. I think you could legitimately 4-man stack 76ers today. Like, maybe that doesn't sound like the most optimal after the fact, but I think you could. Yo, Giffo with the 4-month sub, man. Appreciate that, Giffo. Appreciate the love. Appreciate the support. But yeah, Horford's been just fine as a point per minute guy. You know, is he going to obliterate 35 fantasy points? No, but, like, does he need to? I don't know. So I just don't like. I think everyone here gives me a point per minute or greater, and Tobias Harris probably gives me 50 fantasy points. So if I ran these three, a core of these three, and then mix in like the Mike Scotts, I wish Alec Burks minutes were better, man. I really do. But if I mix in the Mike Scotts, the Burks, and the Furkan Korkmazes, I think that's a fine way to approach maybe 20% of my lineups. But I will have. I'm really thinking about locking Milton and Harris, just like 100%. And if that screws me, it screws me, bro. What else we got? I'm dumb. Milton, not Melton. D'Anthony Melton. Yeah, no. I don't think it's needed to buy up for anyone tonight. I think there's some validity in trying to get that big Damian Lillard game before it happens. Like, if Trae Young gets ruled in right now, do you have more Trae than Damian Lillard? Like, I think there's some validity in trying to get that big Dame game, and he's done fantastic against the Kings this year. So I don't have my ear to the ground on ownership projections yet, but I could be there, right? Burks for some revenge run, man. That's up to Brett Brown. Who do you like on SuperDraft best? Well, I'll tell you who my projections currently like best. They like Al Horford, 1.6 multiplier. Put him at about 59. Yeah, that's what I got. I have 3 Sixers, says Weeb. Yeah, that's probably where I'm going to be at. Anyway, that's our slate. I got to get in the RunDFS.com VIP Discord. Remember, we have that discount up for today. It was supposed to be ended yesterday, but since we did a day stream, if you guys want to lock into the month pass, go get it. $75. We'll not have coverage tomorrow for sure. There will for sure not be a stream tomorrow, but we'll be back Monday for some more DFS breakdownage and probably have Raj back. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me on a Saturday afternoon, make it part of my day, be part of your day. If you guys got anything else for me, twitter.com/Gundacker Sports, man. I hope you guys go win all of the money. I'm into the RunDFS.com VIP Discord, and I'll see you guys later. Love you guys. Good luck. God bless. Go win some money.